What's going on, everybody? You found Bottom Tier Collector. I am your host, the Bearded One. As always, you know the catchphrase. I appreciate the support. Likes, subscribes, comments, all of it. It means a lot. This is one of the best communities on the internet, in my opinion. I have been a part of a different community on YouTube, and nothing compares to comics, in my opinion. I was also part of the gaming community, not the gaming community, on Twitch. And again, just nothing like what I feel here, truly at home on YouTube, in this community. Today I want to talk about, this is a think piece, I want to talk about the measuring stick. You know, at what point do you go from being a novice to an intermediate fan? Now, I don't really want to get into what makes you a diehard fan versus a casual fan. I don't want to get into all that. I really don't want to get into controversial things. That's not really what I'm trying to identify. I'm trying to identify something in myself, really, and that's what I'm hoping I can make a good think piece video today. And for those of you who are new to this channel, it's been a while since I made a think piece. Think pieces are designed to not really be a right or wrong answer type of video. It's just to generate discussion and critical thinking. So again, the topic at hand: at what point do you become a knowledgeable fan? We live in a day and an age of information. We can consume information and data at an alarming rate thanks to, in large part, the internet. The internet has really provided the common man with the keys to information. Albeit there's a lot of misinformation out there. There used to be a joke. I don't hear it much anymore. There used to be a joke. Where'd you hear that? The internet. That used to be a joke. There is misinformation and disinformation on the internet, of course. There's misinformation anywhere, but for the most part, I feel like we can consume information at a pretty solid rate and become knowledgeable people. And I'm saying that to say I don't think time is a good metric for measuring, at what point do you become a knowledgeable fan. I have been into Justice League International for most of the time I've been in this hobby, let's say 8 years, and I've read like 5 issues, and I've listened to like 20 episodes of a Justice League International podcast. I love Justice League International, but I really don't feel like I know a whole lot about it. I own the first appearance of Justice League International. I'm going to be buying Omnibus, which will change how many issues I've read. I own figures. I own a Justice League International Martian Manhunter figure. But again, I don't know a whole lot about Justice League International. It's kind of I don't know what I would label it as. I love to label things for some reason. I guess I'm just a cash fan. I don't know. I need to get on that reading, though. However, I just don't think time is a good metric for defining, are you a knowledgeable fan or not. I'm really bringing this up for Transformers. So here's kind of my journey with Transformers. Let's say 2 years ago, up until about 2 years ago, I was of the opinion Transformers was kind of corny, wasn't for me. It's just something for kids from the 80s that I just don't know if I'll ever learn to appreciate. My first experience with Transformers was the Michael Bay Transformers 1 movie, and I wasn't impressed. I would see snippets of the old cartoons, and I was just like, whatever, who cares, And I'm a late 90s kid, and where I hit the prime of my childhood, where I feel like the prime of most kids' childhood, where you can really enjoy your childhood, is anywhere between age 7 and age 12. And I really hit that sweet spot in the late 90s. So with the late 90s, if you were in America and you were a city kid, you were probably staying up late to watch Toonami and all those anime shows. And one of those anime shows was Gundam Wing. I loved Gundam Wing. I've got fond memories of Gundam Wing. Now, you Transformer fans, don't butcher me for saying this. I still appreciate Gundam Wing more than Transformers. And I think more of it is nostalgic. As I'm going back through the Gundam Wing episodes, it just doesn't hold up. I'm digressing. Let me get back on track here. So Transformers. I still think Transformers is cool. You know, push all the Gundam Wing stuff aside. Transformers is still cool, and it's growing on me at an alarming rate. Probably the thing I'm most interested in right now. It kind of started with me trying to work out again at home in the garage. My wife got me some cheap gym equipment. It's no secret if you know me in real life, I'm definitely not great at working out and keeping a consistent schedule. Something I need to get back on. But I like working out to 80s rock music, and somewhere in building the playlist, I wanted a direct playlist of like good 80s workout rock music, like the Top Gun theme, and a lot of music from the Rocky movies are on that playlist. I think I've got the Karate Kid training montage. I've got is it not Rob Van Dam, John Claude Van Damme. I think it says Double Dragon, like fighting music or something. I don't know. It's just a lot of that style of music. And I came across Dare and Touch from the Transformers original motion picture soundtrack. And I really thought those songs were fantastic. They were, when I think of 80s rock working out music, like inspirational, heroic 80s, got the guitars and the keyboard, like Touch and Dare, both of those are up there at the top with some of the tracks from Rocky IV. And so it really got me interested in the movie. Like, I want to see this Transformers movie. I want to see what it's about. I looked up reviews and opinions on the movie. And finally, I just broke down. I found somebody has it uploaded on YouTube. It's still up. If you're interested in the Transformers original motion picture, it's still up on YouTube. Somebody loaded it up in videos on a playlist. They broke it up into segments, and I watched the whole thing. I tried to get my son into it. I feel like it was too long and a little too mature for a 4-year-old to handle. But I loved it. I felt 10 years old all over again. It's the greatest kids movie I've ever seen. Bar none. It is the GOAT kids movie. You cannot convince me otherwise. The soundtrack was great. I mean, just everything about that movie. So that sparked my fandom. I instantly became a Transformers fan after that movie. And then, fast forward, about a year later, I play the Transformers Earth Wars game now. And I recently learned that Hasbro has uploaded every episode of the original Transformers series on the Pulse YouTube channel. I've seen the first 3 episodes. I've seen the 3-part More Than Meets the Eye series, and then I've seen just about all of Siege, the Transformers trilogy, War for Cybertron on Netflix. I've got 10-ish minutes left of Siege, and I finished the Siege portion of War for Cybertron. And I'm getting to the point now where when I was watching Cybertron, I recognized, hey, that's Wheeljack. Hey, that's Bumblebee. I already knew Megatron and Optimus Prime. You don't even have to be a Transformers fan to know those two. But Starscream, I recognized Starscream, without these characters' names being announced. So I feel like I'm getting to a point where maybe I'm a knowledgeable fan of Transformers. I learned about this Japanese anime. It's like a 1-episode deal, I think, where the coolest Transformer just about. I think Unicron is my favorite Transformer. Unicron is freaking cool. That movie was awesome. He was the perfect villain. I loved his voice actor. Just Unicron was it. Unicron made that movie for me. However, I learned about this other alternate universe Transformer, Deathosaurus. And HasLab has a Deathosaurus figure, and I want to pre-order so bad. But I just don't feel like I'm invested enough to justify the price of that $179 pre-order for Deathosaurus. And that's really what sparked this video. Would you consider me a knowledgeable enough fan that I can sit here, I watched, there was something from like the 2000s and it was kind of dumbed down for kids, and it's on Netflix. I tried to show it to my son, and both of us lost interest really quick. And it was a Transformers show. And I feel like a hardcore fan would have enjoyed it, or would have powered through it for it being just cause Transformers. But not for me. I prefer Gen 1, and I'm liking the War for Cybertron. The story's great, but I don't know if I like enough to buy figures. However, I want this Deathosaurus figure. I just don't feel like I have a big enough appreciation for it. I almost feel like a fraud, and maybe this is a personal problem I just need to get over. You need to buy things because you love them. I hear it all the time in this hobby. Buy what you like. I understand, and it's kind of ironic that I'm going through this with myself because, as a huge Lobo fan, I have no problem feeling like I need this figure. I need this mini porcelain statue. I need the $250 6-scale figure because I am a hardcore Lobo fan. But when it comes to Transformers, it's different. I struggle to put that pre-order in for Deathosaurus, even though I think Deathosaurus is so freaking cool. I almost like him more than Unicron. And that's one thing I don't like about Transformers is the bad guys look so much cooler than the good guys. I wish they would come out with some cool looking good guys. I just think the good guys are so plain. But yeah, what do you think? Have I crossed that bridge where I'm a knowledgeable fan? Because I'm watching War of Cybertron and I can say that's Bumblebee, that's Wheeljack, that's Optimus Prime, that's Megatron, that's Starscream. I didn't know who Jetfire was, but I don't know. And then I brought some visual aids. So here's kind of the opposite way I feel. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I feel like a knowledgeable fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I think TMNT is a great example for my channel and this community because it has such a strong foundation and history in comics. And it has also exploded beyond comics. It's got toys, movies, cartoons, and yet this is the oldest TMNT book I own. This is the only book I own from Volume 1. I own like 5 books from the current IDW run. Well, maybe like 10. I did meet Kevin Eastman. And then I own this, the complete series of my childhood. This is my early childhood right here. I wish I had it in Blu-ray. My mother just not good with understanding what Blu-ray is. I've seen all season 1 2 times over, and I need to keep watching it. I need to finish it. But I feel like a knowledgeable fan with TMNT, and I don't own that much gear. I've never read the comics outside the IDW stuff, and I think I may have read a digital version of this issue. But yet, ironically, I feel like a knowledgeable fan. Maybe because of time, because I have had TMNT in my life, if not just my memory banks, for 30 years. So it's just an interesting thought experiment. Why do I feel like a knowledgeable fan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and yet I'm putting so much more energy into Transformers, and I still feel like a scrub? And I, full disclosure, I've only been really into Transformers for about 2 weeks. So I feel like I've already debunked time. I don't, in the age of information, you can consume so much and be knowledgeable in such a short amount of time. I still feel like time is why maybe I feel like I'm not a knowledgeable fan of Transformers. What do you guys think? I'm going to wrap it up here. There's the TMNT DVD set. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. My phone's low on battery. I'm going to run some errands. So just leave it in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' opinion. What are some things... Do you go through this where you're dipping your toes into something, but you're too scared to nosedive in? You're too scared to do things you think hardcore fans do because you're not there yet. Maybe for financial reasons you want to see if something's for you, or maybe you're like me, it's a little more of a personal issue you need to get over, where you think I'm just not hardcore enough for this really cool looking toy. Does time decide when you can become a knowledgeable fan of a character? Lobo is almost 40 years old, and I've only been into Lobo for 25% of that time, just about. So does that not make me... Does that make my knowledge and my fandom of Lobo invalid because I don't have more time with the character than other fans? Again, I'll say it one more time. I'll beat the dead horse. Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions about being a knowledgeable fan. What point do you think somebody becomes a knowledgeable fan of something? Until next time, guys.